All right, man, peace. So as we all know by now, uh, one of the casualties of the chaotic propaganda that was initiated by Colin Kaepernick and his alleged intention to bring light to the police brutality against unarmed black men has been the disintegration of the relationship between Ray Lewis and Shannon Sharpe. We touched on in part one how Ray Lewis finally decided to retort a lot of Shannon's repeated verbal assaults against Ray Lewis on the show Undisputed. So now that Ray Lewis has decided to stand up for himself, Shannon Sharpe is going to respond in kind. Let's see what he has to say. Of course, I'm going to chime in.
Let's get started with the latest on the national anthem protest. Many NFL players, coaches, and owners showed signs of solidarity on Sunday and Monday in response to President Trump saying players that protest the anthem should be fired or suspended. On Sunday, Ray Lewis was on the sidelines on both knees alongside Ravens players before their game in London. Ray talked about that last night. Let's take a listen.
Let's make sure you hear people saying, oh, he took a knee. I absolutely did not take a knee. I walked onto the...
Hold on, let's be clear. When you say you hear people say...
You hear Shannon Sharpe going out there talking about I dropped on a knee and this is about, oh, I sat in the chair next to him and I said I would never do this and I still didn't do it. I'm watching young kids just confused. Everybody confused.
I agree. And like I stated in part one, the reason why everybody is confused is because this protest and most of these socialist movements are under the inspiration of Luciferianism. When we talk about Lucifer, we're taught in this society that Lucifer and Satan are synchronous entities. They are not. The term Lucifer simply means the light bearer. Who is the light bearer? That is talking about the entities or the people known in the scriptures as Cush and Nimrod, as well as Nimrod's wife/mother Semiramis, who was known in history as Isis or Cybele or Athena, Hestia, so on and so forth. Numerous names for the mother goddess, Astarte, Ishtar. But anyway, let's see what Ray has to say.
Nobody don't know what they're talking about. What am I going to do? If I'm going to stand up, if I'm going to grab hands, if I'm going to interlock, what am I going to do?
They don't know because it's all a fad. It's not real. None of those guys who decided that they were going to quote unquote take a knee or lock arms, if you were to ask them exactly what what the protest that they're executing signifies, none of them would be able to expound to you in depth. Nothing against them. They're, most of them are a bunch of meatheads. Are there some guys who may have some mental clarity and depth to them? Sure. But, for the most part, football it represents a replication of the military. And in the military, you must follow orders. And that's what they're trained to do. Football has the same energy behind it. So when they all decided that they were going to lock arms and execute this show of force, for lack of a better term, it was at the behest of their owners. That's why the owners were involved. So how could you possibly take it seriously?
So I walked away, JB, and I didn't drop on one knee in order to protest. Boom, I dropped on two knees, both knees, so I can simply honor God in the midst of chaos.
And Ray, now hold on. So you are passionately making this point, which, by the way, you were very passionate in our production meeting as well. So put a little bit of context on this. The reason you mentioned Shannon, meaning Shannon Sharpe, your former teammate, why are you mentioning him? What does he have to do?
He goes out and tells somebody why he's so disappointed in me.
In you?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I'm 42 years old with 6 kids. I'm a grown man. So to be disappointed in me?
I agree with that. For you to come on TV and talk about how you disappointed in him, that was a very neoliberal fascist way of trying to denigrate Ray Lewis's perspective on the situation. Liberal blacks believe that they're enlightened, right? Hence the term Luciferian, right? To be enlightened or the enlightener. They tend to believe that their thought process is higher than regular people's. Why is that? Because they tend to follow behind the thought process of liberal Caucasians. Okay? This is why you see these terms, Luciferian, Illuminati, Enlightenment thinkers. It's all the same thing. It's all under the vibration of the ringleader, that being Kush. But that's another topic for another day. But I give Ray Lewis credit for being perceptive enough to finally understand that what is being perpetrated through the NFL is an attempt at social engineering by trying to establish a new order through chaos.
It really sparked me. And now all of these people are going off his sound bites of how he's so shocked that I dropped on the knee to...
When he says all these people, he's talking about all the internet revolutionary blacks who probably harass him on Twitter.
To protest. Really? You got my phone number, brother. A friend picks up the cell phone and say, bro, what was your intention?
I agree. And I noted that a few videos ago. I believe that it was on the Ness Nitty and Ness Nitty versus Ray Lewis series that I did, where I noted that Shannon Sharp was on TV talking about Ray Lewis, a guy who he claims is his brother, but he would not call him to get the real skinny. It's obvious that Shannon is more worried about how he's perceived on television than possibly getting real information from Ray Lewis and having to relay that real information on TV, because he doesn't want to disappoint his internet revolutionary following that he has. It's the same mentality behind why people like Kevin Durant and Steph Curry don't want to go to the White House. They're scared that they're actually going to have to ask real questions to the president that they have an emotional dislike for. They don't want to deal on a logical, intellectual level because they're scared that they're going to get answers back that they're going to have to relay back to the Twitter woke following that they're trying to cultivate. And they're going to be told that they're coons and sellouts.
What were you doing? You saw my mouth moving. I asked
and your mouth moving was because?
Friend.
Shannon, what's your reaction?
First, I don't like that he called me by my entire government name, Shannon Sharp. I think he could have just referenced Shannon and everyone would have known who he was talking about. Skip, I get why he's angry. Because when your friends offer the harshest critique of you, it hurts the most because they're closest to you.
No, sir. That's not why he's upset. He's not upset by your quote-unquote harsh critique. He stated why he was upset. He was upset because you did not call him. All right? Please do not try to change the discussion or the argument to try to achieve some type of higher ground, which is a normal liberal tactic. He stated explicitly why he was upset. He was mad because you didn't call him and get the real information. You decided you were going to run on TV and call him a hypocrite when he clearly was praying. I don't care what anybody says about it. You can get upset. You can get mad. Like I said, I have no dog in the race. OK, I don't deify. I don't put on a pedestal any of these people. All I do is watch and assess. Ray Lewis was clearly praying. Like, it's not that difficult to see. Shannon Sharp decided that he was going to call him out as a hypocrite because Shannon Sharp has allowed Colin Kaepernick to become an idol for himself.
And I get why he's angry. He also has a very valid point. I could have called him and asked, Ray, what were you doing?
Yeah, well, you could have done that, but there's a reason why you didn't do that. You didn't just happen to not do it. You purposefully didn't call him. Because once again, if you look at the series that I did, I believe it was the Ness Nitty versus Ray Lewis series. Skip Bayless even explicitly asked Shannon, how come you didn't call him? And he made the same excuse back then. So that's when I assessed that clearly the Colin Kaepernick situation is leading to a disintegration of the relationship between Shannon Sharp and Ray Lewis. And it bubbled over this past weekend. Right? Everything there's nothing hidden that shall not be revealed. Okay?
But we have an early show. He's flying back from London.
Bullshit. We have an early show. He's flying back from London. Man, please. Then you know what you should have said on Monday morning? You should have said, I'm going to call Ray, or I'm going to text Ray to try to get an understanding as to what he was doing, because when he was on the show, he stated that he wasn't going to kneel. It looked to me like he was kneeling, but I'm going to text him or call him, contact him in some way to get verification on exactly what he was doing. That's all you had to say. But because you're caught up in the woke vortex, you had to run on TV and castigate him so that you can have a bunch of these little internet revolutionary niggas in the comments. Oh man, Shannon Sharpe is the realest on TV. Yeah, he's attacking Ray Kuhn, Ray Kuhn Lewis. All these lame niggas.
I can honestly say this. I'm not so sure. Had I even talked to him, I still would have said what I said, because the optics of it and what he said.
Well, clearly he wasn't concerned with optics. That's another term that liberals try to use to impose their views on others. Optics, right? They're worried about how things look as opposed to how things are. That's why it's so easy for them to execute psychological operations, like I believe the Michael Bennett situation was. They understand the ability, they understand how easy it is to manipulate people's minds and thoughts and perceptions based on very skillfully executed psychological operations that can traumatize people. So that's why you have a Colin Kaepernick on his knee. That's why you have NFL players clasping arms. That's why you have Michael Bennett acting as if he's the victim of racial profiling, even though he was in an all-black club. Because they're for theatrics. They're for optics. Okay? When a man is your friend, you're not concerned with optics. You're concerned with getting his true testimony so that you can represent him properly on national television. You were not concerned with that, Shannon Sharpe, because you're more concerned with how you look. Like I told you brothers a long time ago, Shannon Sharpe is trying to use all this race talk to build up his viability to speak on other issues in case this situation with Skip Bayless dries up. So then now he can go on the race talk circuit. He can get his own radio show and talk about sports and race. All right, there is a method to his madness, believe me.
Even though he says he was praying, and I take him at his word that he was praying, you mean to tell me you can't drop down on 2 knees beside Colin Kaepernick and still ask that God that you were asking to, as you mentioned, in that sea of chaos? That
You see what he said? He said, ask that God. Clearly, Shannon Sharpe, you know, and he has the right to his own personal beliefs. He clearly does not believe in the God of the Bible. That is his perspective. That's his prerogative. But it explains a lot why he's so desperate to receive the Caucasian man's validation, as all pro-blacks are. They try to front like they're not, but they are. That's why you'll often hear pro-blacks, oh man, you believe in that book and that Bible. When is that God coming back to save you? Well, that's not really the question, dude. The question is, when are you going to get the gumption to start the revolution that you keep talking about? Because you don't believe in the Most High. So what are you waiting on? All right? It's very simple. You can either take a plane and go back to the motherland, as you call it, and be around majority blacks, right? Or, you know, you can start this race war. We know that you're going to do neither one. Okay? This is why I constantly say the reason why you have a lot of these internet revolutionaries always talking about coon this and coon that is because that's to cover and compensate for their own cowardice that they're embarrassed about. Okay? Anybody who knows and understands the scriptures knows that it gives you great peace because it puts everything in its proper perspective. Shannon Sharpe is not a man who's at peace. He really is very resentful about his past, his upbringing, and he's very resentful towards Caucasians. You could tell. Because that's the first thing that many so-called pro-black males like to do is they like to go get them a white woman and they like to talk about race all day and have no answers and expect Caucasians to answer all of their diatribes with a kiss on the forehead. And it's not coming.
that was going on off of what President Trump said, I'm sure Colin Kaepernick would like prayers also. He would like someone to kneel down beside him and ask this God, this great and glorious God that we pray to, most of us, some of us pray to on a daily basis.
Right. See, he said it again. That some of us pray to. And once again, that's his prerogative. He doesn't have to believe in the Most High of the Bible. And I'm sure I'll get brothers in the comments, oh, man, you know, that Bible and this. But look, bro, this is not the video to be going back and forth about the scriptures. I'm not concerned about your opinion about the Bible. You have the right to bitch and complain about what you think, the changes that were made and yada, yada, yada. This is not the video for that. At the end of the day, what I know about so-called pro-blacks is that you guys have no plan. You've never had a plan. You never will have a plan other than to get the attention of the Caucasian man and woman and to get that hug and that kiss. That's not coming. In regards to Ray Lewis getting down and praying with Colin Kaepernick, I'm sure that Ray Lewis, as he stated, has reached out to Kaepernick numerous times. And I'm pretty sure that Colin does not want to pray with Ray Lewis. But I'm also pretty sure that Shannon Sharpe has never asked either Colin Kaepernick or Ray Lewis if they ever discussed praying together. He's just saying that just to say it. Colin Kaepernick is a socialist and a communist. I'm sure that he doesn't believe in the Bible, and that's his prerogative as well. He's a woman worshiper, okay? His God is Nesnitty, all right, and Discordianism, all right? That is his God. His God is his God is the socialist / Luciferian belief system of Kush, believe it or not. A lot of cats came and they corrected me when I said he's an Alpha Phi Alpha and all he's Kappa Alpha Psi. Look. All that shit is the same thing. They all worship the same entity, that being Lucifer. All right? And even in that Kappa Alpha Psi, and I'm sure you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, you guys worship the Egyptian god of wisdom, Thoth. You know who Thoth is? Thoth is Cush. All right? The god of numbers and measurement, mathematics, writing. That is Cush. But it is what it is.
You see, Skip, perception is not always reality, but the optics of it, given what he had said. Because when he first had, another thing, you mentioned this, Ray, you got to be careful with social media. Because he kept saying what they said. They said Shannon Sharpe said. We know who those they are.
Yeah, we know who those they are too. All right, it's the internet revolutionaries, the pro-blacks that believe that you're genuine and listen to your sound bites and want to run with them. But I'm pretty sure that he saw your sound bite directly or heard your sound bite and saw your visual and saw what you said. I'm pretty sure that Ray Lewis didn't just go by what somebody repeated to him over Twitter. I'm pretty sure that he watched the show or the segment where you spoke about him and he got incensed, as he should have.
Yeah, we do. Or we don't know. But go ahead.
Right. And the thing was is that he's listening to what they said. The thing that hurts me the most is that I said what I said, Ray came back with his critique, and now we're talking about it, and we're still not talking about the issue at hand. We're talking about the anthem.
Well, you were the one who brought his name up. So you started it. So you can't get mad at him for responding in kind. To be quite frank with you, you've been levying a lot of attacks, some of them ad hominem, on Ray Lewis, your alleged friend, for a while now. So he finally got pissed off and responded in kind. And everything that he said was right and exact. No, you were not at the Mike Brown March in St. Louis in Missouri for Mike Brown. No, you were not at the Trayvon Martin March in Florida like he was. He was in both locations. Where were you? You were nowhere to be found. All right? You off somewhere, on your damn cycling machine with your white woman. That's what you were doing.
And I've tried so hard, Skip. I've done, since I've become on this side of the equation, the media, I've always tried not to be a part of the story. And what I try to do is offer my opinion and say, this is what I believe. And I haven't wavered when it comes to Colin Kaepernick, his ability to play, and Colin Kaepernick and what he originally took the knee for.
Yeah, well, look, this is what we all know. This is one of the many elephants in the room on this topic. If Colin Kaepernick had not become so renowned for his alleged stand against police brutality, he would have been out the league and nobody would have cared. He would have been another Josh Freeman, except he would have been a Josh Freeman that went to the Super Bowl. For those of you who remember, Josh Freeman played with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was a black quarterback. He had a good season. He got progressively worse every year, just like Kaepernick. And now he's out of the NFL. Nobody cares. No, half the people probably don't even remember him. Didn't even remember him until I brought his name up. All right. Kaepernick was extremely impactful his first year, and he got incrementally less impactful as he went along. And he was on his way out. All right. Do I believe that he can play in the NFL? Yes, I do. But do I believe that he's worth the attention that he's going to be the recipient of as a businessman? If I was an NFL owner, looking at who my main constituency is, my main my target audience is, which is probably 70% conservative Caucasians, no, I would not bring him on. Absolutely not. All right. And people can get mad at that and they can say whatever they want. From a business perspective, absolutely not. Now, from an ideological perspective, knowing what I know, knowing that he's a proponent of a lot of Discordian ideologies, a lot of Discordian propaganda, things like female superiority and communism, no, I would not bring him on. Okay? Now, if I was the average liberal, if I was a liberal-minded owner, I might give him a chance. I might say, okay, well, maybe we could put him at backup. If I was one of these guys who knew that I was going to have a team that was about 6-10 and I had liberal leanings, sure, I would bring him on. Why not? I would not be that worried about alienating too many fans. I mean, I already know that we're going to have a bad team this year. Maybe trot him out. Who knows? This is all from a business perspective. And, you have so many people who are emotional by nature who don't understand that the NFL is a business. All these things have to be, put in the balance, weighed in the balance. It's like any other relationship that you have. If you're a man and you're going to be with a woman, you can say, okay, she's beautiful, but she has a nasty attitude. Do I want to take her on? These are things that you must acknowledge and that you must understand. No, I'm not a fan of Kaepernick and his protests at all. I believe that so-called black people need to stop being so dependent on Caucasian validation. All of this nonsense about equality, that's a red herring. Our people need to be self-defined, self-validated, have their own military, their own government, their own leadership, their own judicial system, their own educational system, their own police force. Those are my views. All right? I'm not concerned with the Caucasian man and being validated by him. Like a lot of you so-called pro-blacks are, allegedly pro-black. But I know what you guys are really about. You guys really want the kiss on the forehead. All right?
I have not wavered.
You have not.
And that's my only thing. Now, Ray and I somehow become subplots to an issue. Ray should have his opinion. I should have my opinion. But I should not have to offer a critique. I shouldn't have to come back and try to explain myself to what he said last night.
Sure you do. Sure you should have to explain yourself. The issue is that you cannot explain yourself. That's why you're not going to try. Because you know that the things that he said you cannot really respond to because he's cutting you up. Now, we know, you call yourself the champion of lip sparring. So let's be honest. We know that you can go back at him, but you know that it will probably end your friendship with him. Because you have to get personal. Because if you were going to stick to what he said, there's nothing that you could respond to. No, you were not at those marches that he was at. No, you have not done the things for the so-called black community that he's done. So this is really just a battle of gestures. Who's into what gesture? The kneeling, the praying, all this nonsense. This is why I've stated to Ray Lewis that he needs to, through my video, that he needs to extricate himself from this whole situation ASAP, because it is a shit show. And it's going to blow up in everybody's face. All of these liberal blacks are going to torture themselves for the next 4 years, and they're going to be in a real shock when Caucasians mobilize 4 years from now and vote Donald Trump in again. And it's going to be up to the international bankers and the handlers for these politicians to decide if they want to acknowledge the voting of these Caucasians and allow Trump to come back into the White House again, or if they want to move on to somebody else. But people are getting tired of these liberal blacks and their constant begging for attention and validation from Caucasians. It's pathetic and it's weak. All right? That's what it is. And these niggas have the nerve to try to call down Malcolm X to associate him with their bullshit beliefs. All right? You think Malcolm X would co-sign getting on one knee for equality? The fuck out of here.
He said what he said. I honestly believe, Skip, that Ray and I are trying to get to the same direction, the same destination. I just believe that we're taking different paths in order to get there.
Yeah, the path that you want to take is trying to cause chaos, an attention monger, right? That's the path that you're trying to take, which has been taught to anarchists all the way, since the advent of many of the Masonic lodges. Right, and their promotion from the mid 1600s, 1700s, right, which was the advent also of the Enlightenment period. But that's another video for another day.
I also told Ray last night, we had a very heartfelt conversation, Skip, because I've known Ray Lewis for over 2 decades. I've seen him at his
point of order. Do you think you spoke to him before or after?
I spoke to him after.
After.
Yes.
All right.
And I did not hear what he said. People, they were calling, people called me, friends called me, friends of both of ours. Did you hear what Ray said? I said, no, I haven't heard it yet. I said, but people have informed me what he said.
Yes, and, that's what happens when people take shit and they keep taking it and they keep letting shit go. When they finally let it out, it's going to be an avalanche. It's going to be like a volcano bubbling over, a landslide. because it's not just going to be what you said in your last volley at him. It's going to be a culmination. It's going to be a combination of everything that he has tolerated and endured from you verbally, the disrespect and the disregard for his views. And that's the bottom line. The easiest way to communicate to people is through logic. Okay. This is why I've told cats, this is not really a Bible channel. I'm going to do some videos on the scriptures, but it's not going to be some 30 video series. All right. I'm going to touch on things here and there, but this is not going to be a Bible channel, because what happens with the scriptures is that the Bible is something that everybody thinks that they can understand, but they really can't. Like, I see certain comments with people, like I saw one comment with somebody going into the flat earth thing, and they talk about how the Lord said that the earth is his footstool. This is what happened with the Bible. You have what you call Bible literalists, right? Which are people who have very poor reading comprehension, and they don't understand that the scriptures use poetic language. It uses parabolic language. It uses metaphorical language. Do you really think that the Most High is out in outer space, kicking his feet up on the hard, quote unquote, firmament, as you allege it to be, and sitting back, relaxing, reading the newspaper? That's what a footstool is. Okay? Bible is a very, very dangerous book. It empowers people in a good way. It also empowers them in a bad way when the Lord is not dealing with them. And a lot of people, the Lord is not dealing with you. No, and I don't say it to be disrespectful. Some people need to be hearers and not teachers. All right. It's like when you watch the movie The Last Dragon. Both Bruce Leroy and Sho'nuff had the glow, but one of them had the glow in righteousness and one of them had the glow in wickedness. It is what it is.
Are you upset? No, I'm not upset. My grandma used to have a saying, Skip. She said, "Son, teeth and tongue will fall out. Your teeth bite your tongue mad at your teeth, and they might part ways." She said, "But son, family and friends should never fall out." I'm never going to fall out with Ray Lewis. We disagree on this issue. We disagree with what Colin Kaepernick is doing. We disagree with how we should best go about it. But that's okay. We're going to remain friends.
Well, yes, you guys are going to remain friends as long as you understand what friendship is. Ray Lewis, unfortunately, had to do what he did. And you could tell he did not want to do what he did. But he had to, because he was greatly hurt by your betrayal. All right. So now he has humbled you. So now you understand that there's a line that you're not allowed to cross in regards to what you say about him in reference to Kaepernick. On his side, I'm sure that he's not going to speak on the issue anymore, which he shouldn't, because it is a shit show going nowhere. And you guys are going to find that out soon enough.
But we can agree to disagree. I'm not upset with Ray. I'm not going to go back and forth with Ray and try to offer what they call an ether him for what he said. Shannon, what are you doing? I'm not here to defend what I do or don't do. That's not the issue. Shannon Sharp is not the issue.
Yeah, because we already know you wasn't at none of them things that he's talking about, brother. Let's be for real. Believe me, if Shannon Sharp really had things that he was involved in the public, he would have put it out there. All right, he's not, because there are two types of people who like to broach the race topic. They're the ones who are out there and are actionizing in a way that they can brag about what they're doing, kind of like what Ray Lewis did. And then there's the ones who like to get on TV and just talk about what they want white people to do for them, like Shannon Sharp does. If Shannon Sharp was really actionizing anything that he talks about, he would have mentioned it on TV already. Believe me.
Ray Lewis isn't the issue. The issue is what led Colin Kaepernick to originally take a knee. And that was the unarmed killing. That was the injustices that he sees in America. And people are going unpunished. That's why he took the knee. And anything other than that should be unacceptable. But we're talking about a flag, we're talking about an anthem, and we're talking about what he did or didn't do.
I don't know why a lot of the liberal blacks are quizzical or confused as to why a large portion of America is incensed by how they choose to protest. You have the right to protest. People have the right to be offended by your form of protest. That's what it is. And depending on how offended they are, they're going to be more concerned with that than what you're talking about, particularly if they don't see any validity in what you're talking about. By and large, most Caucasian Americans in America believe that blacks complain too much about how they're treated by the cops based off of how so-called black people conduct themselves. And to be quite frank with you, it is an easy excuse for them to make because our people do not have a strong culture and our people do not respect each other. So we can talk about the racist Caucasian cops all day, but if we don't want to be self-defined, if we don't want to have a strong culture, which will lead to a pretty uniform understanding of how to treat each other, then we cannot expect other races to respect us, especially since it's very clear that the form of protest is an attempt to get the Caucasian to implement reforms to change us as opposed to us changing ourselves and doing what we need to do, setting up our own programs and systems. It's why I continuously say the real elephant in the room is that so-called blacks do not want to have a black man or black men in true positions of authority to execute justice and execute verdicts, to be the head of police forces and things of that nature. Believe me, liberal black women don't want it. And most of the liberal black males who worship black women, they don't want it either. They're looking to the Caucasian to save them.
And all I told him last night, I said to raise the optics of it, of what you said on the show and how outspoken you've been about kneeling, because the anthem and the flag means so much to you. So you can understand how it looked to me, given what you had said, how it looked to me doing what you did. And I don't feel that, if Colin was in that very situation, I don't know, given your stance against him, if you would have kneeled down beside him on both knees or one knee.
Well, here's what we know. We know that Ray Lewis, according to his testimony, tried to get Colin Kaepernick on the Baltimore Ravens. That's what we know. We know that Ray Lewis, according to his testimony, has gone through great means and numerous tactics to try to reach Colin Kaepernick. And Colin Kaepernick has made very little effort to reach back out to Ray Lewis. So, this straw man that Shannon has concocted about Ray Lewis not praying with Colin Kaepernick, that's exactly what it is. It's a fruitless, baseless argument and an attempt to take attention away from the fact that in order for people to pray for Colin Kaepernick or pray with him, he has to come out of hiding. And as we know, most of his supporters like the fact that he's hiding in the background so that they can speak for him and get the attention that he should be getting. So in order for Ray Lewis to pray for Kaepernick, Kaepernick's girlfriend is going to have to not send memes of Ray Lewis being the coon so that Kaepernick can get signed to Baltimore. And then and then maybe Ray Lewis, and then we could see if Ray Lewis would really pray with Kaepernick.
And that was my only point, Ray.
What was the tone of the conversation when you first said hello?
He was upset.
Yeah.
Calls went unanswered. And like I told him, I said, Ray, eventually you're going to pick. At first, he wouldn't accept any of my calls. Then we started texting.
Yeah.
I said, man, I'm not finna sit here. I said, dude, you think I'm about to sit here? You talking about you 42? I'm damn near 50. You think I'm finna sit here and text you back and forth? I picked up the phone.
Good. It's about time your ass picked up the phone. But it's strange that you said you talking about you 42, but you claim that you didn't see the interview, until after you spoke to him. So how would you know that he said he's 42 in the interview if you hadn't seen it before you called him?
And I think by the tone of my text, he got it like, okay, big bro upset. Let's hash this out. And I was like, Ray, I get that you're upset. I say, but as one of your I say, Ray, you're one of the few people that if you call Shannon Sharp and say, bro, I need you, I don't ask any questions. I say when. I don't say what you need. I don't say why you need it. When. Fact.
Well, that's good. Well, then you should have picked up that damn phone and spoke to him before you came on TV and tried to castigate him in such a fiery manner. That's what you should have did.
That's it. Mm-hmm. So whatever we got going on, okay, I let him speak first. I said, I'm going to let you talk. I want you to voice your side of the equation. And then when you finish, let me have my say. We did that. Bro, I love you. I love you too. You're going to have to do your part.
That's good. I'm glad that they were able to resolve that issue like that. That's how they're supposed to resolve it. Good for them.
Part tomorrow, I'm going to do my part tomorrow, and I'm going to move forward.
And it ended with what? That?
Bro, I love you.
Good.
Bro, you know I love you.
Beautiful.
I'm always going to be in your corner. But before we got the phone,
And Ray was probably crying knowing him.
we disagreed on this one.
So, I appreciate the fact, by the way, I appreciate the fact that I get to do this show with you every day. Because I love you as much as I think Ray does. We haven't been together.
Oh, man, please. You don't even know Shannon that damn well. I love you too. Man, please, get the fuck out of here.
Been together. That was a beautiful story you just told.
I appreciate it.
I realize that it makes you slightly uncomfortable that you have become part and parcel of this story.
No, it doesn't. Shannon loves that he's become part of this story. Like I've been telling you brothers for the longest time, he's trying to use a lot of this race talk to diversify his portfolio, per se, in the media world. He knows what he's doing.
But from my perspective, you have, whether you like it or not, because you have become a profoundly powerful national voice on the Kaepernick issue, defending him and trying to continue to fight for what he's saying,
Yes.
as opposed to what he's doing.
Right.
And you continue to fight for the message more than the form of the protest.
Correct.
Love it. Believe in it. Get it.
Well, you know, all that's cool, but presentation does matter. Presentation does matter, and how people will choose to accept what you're presenting. Okay? You can have a gourmet meal, but if you present it in a garbage can lid, people are not going to want to eat it. All right?
Ray Lewis has been a profoundly powerful voice for the black community in many ways. And all of a sudden, he's at odds with many in the black community.
Yes, he is.
And if you don't mind me bringing it up, I think there's a petition in Baltimore. Help me out with it.
Yes, there's a petition, and it has, I think, 20,000 as of early this morning.
Well, as of right now, I got damn near 40,000 if it doesn't have more than that. And it was started by a Caucasian man who was upset with Ray Lewis for allegedly engaging in the protests with the rest of his teammates. But as he stated, he was not protesting. But that's neither here nor there. As I've already stated, if I was Ray Lewis, I would not have even let them put the statue up in the first place. As a man who claims to be a God-fearing man, why would you want an idol of yourself up to have been erected? No, sir.
To have his statue removed from in front of Raven Stadium. After all he's given to that community, Skip, at some point in time, we're going to have to be able to disagree. And he called me, and I...
Well, let me say this. The liberal blacks have set a precedent with them defacing and tearing down many of the statues. And let me say this. I'm somebody who co-signs the eradication of many of the Confederate statues. Why is that? Because the Confederate statues are symbols of sedition. Okay? They're symbols of sedition, treason, and rebellion against the American government. They should never have been allowed to have been erected in the first place. That is why I have no problem with them being torn down. Look, I am a historian. I like history. So none of these things really affect me. And once again, I'm not pro-black, so I'm not looking for a hug or a kiss from the so-called white man and woman to validate me as the average pro-black is. So seeing a statue of Robert E. Lee or Stonewall Jackson, it is what it is. It's whatever to me. But from the American perspective, the American government is not supposed to allow statues that commemorate people who were against the continuance of the American government and the American system. So those statues do deserve to be torn down. But so-called black people have to understand that when you become advocates of that type of thing, you're going to open up the chamber for people to want to have other statues torn down of notable figures that they no longer like or appreciate. It is what it is.
And I could hear the pain, I could hear the anguish and the hurt, and he was almost in tears. He was like, Shay,
I told you his ass was crying.
do you understand how many death threats I've received? Do you understand that my family has received death threats and I've had to turn this over to Baltimore PD?
You see that? This is why for a lot of you guys who talk, who say, oh man, why do you call it the pro-black mafia? That's why. That's why. Because I know how a lot of these silly niggas operate. I know how they think. A lot of these people, they're totally caught up in that vortex. That's why I call it a vortex. Because nothing can get out. Once they're in there, it's like you can't get out. All right? And this is why I stated for the longest time, Ray Lewis should not have spoke on the race topic because none of these people are sincere. Okay? They're operating according to straw man titles and straw man concepts like black and white, right? Racial concepts that are non-existent, right? When I say non-existent, meaning they have no substance. Okay? There's no substance to associating your color with your race. These pro-black people, they bought into all that. They bought into the Kaepernick thing, and they bought into the protest thing, and they bought into the militant civil rights movement. They bought into the Black Lives Matter, the Black Lesbian Matter movement. They bought into all that. Ray Lewis should extricate himself as soon as possible, and I think he realizes that he never should have been involved in it in the first place. Because everybody on all sides is not mentally well. Most of these people are mentally unhealthy. Shannon Sharpe being one of them. He's mentally unhealthy. All right? All he does is talk about white this, white that, but he got a white woman. Why is that? Because through the white female, he feels like he's conquering white male hegemony. All right? That's why he does that. None of these people are sincere. They're all in it for $1. They're all in it for $1. That's why the new thing now is for all of these analysts to try to transition over into political race talk, because that is the conversation that will never end. Okay? So I'm not surprised. And once again, that is why I call it the pro-black mafia. They don't allow you to have different views or other stances or perspectives. You have to go along with them, or you're a coon and you're a this and you're that. And people feel brave enough to try to issue death threats. That's how it's going down.
It shouldn't be that, Skip. Ray and I have a difference of opinions on how we should resolve this issue. Okay?
And I'm sure that Shannon has received death threats from the Caucasian conservative side as well. Let me say that.
But to have discourse, you can't be upset because one guy is not in your corner that you would want to do harm to him or his family. That's not what this is about. We should be able to have healthy dialogue. We should be able to disagree. And at the end of the day, I disagree with you, bro, but I understand, I respect your point of view. And to remove his statue, what did his statue have to do with anything? He has been very active in the Baltimore community.
Has he?
So I don't get that. You can be disappointed because he doesn't support the stance that you share with Colin Kaepernick. But it's going too far when you try to when you think about or you mention doing harm to him or his family in that statue. Well, if they try to remove that statue, let me tell you what's going to happen. There's two people that's going to make a lot of money. Construction companies that's taking it down and the sculptors that build it. Because when they take it down, I'm going to have two to put back up. So let's just leave the statue alone. Let's stick to the issue. Ray and Shannon are fine. We just disagree on the Colin Kaepernick situation.
Well, that was a smart move by Shannon to quell any potential beef between him and Ray Lewis, because he knows that it would look bad to have two so-called black males fighting over an issue that allegedly was started to bring attention to the oppression that is targeted at so-called black males. So I think that Shannon was very shrewd to do that. But at the same time, do I believe that him and Ray Lewis's relationship is the same? I doubt it. But Ray Lewis did what he was supposed to do. He had to call out Shannon because Shannon was going too far with a lot of his personal or semi-personal attacks on Ray. Because really, when you say that Ray Lewis kneeled when he said he wouldn't, you're calling him a fraud and a hypocrite. That is a personal attack. He should have called him a fourth time and verified exactly what he was doing.
Okay, let's go back